Are you interested in replacing the rubber fuel line on your Ford 289 with a hard line all the way to the carburetor? Well, then you're in the right place. What's up, guys? My name is Andy, and in this video, we're gonna take the fuel line that goes from the fuel pump all the way to the carburetor, and we're gonna replace it with a hard line and a new fuel filter the whole way. And the reason why we're gonna do that is that you wanna reduce any need to have a rubber fuel line between the fuel pump and the carb. Any line that's gonna be pressurized with fuel, you don't want that to be rubber in case it dries out and splits or whatever happens. It could be a fire hazard. So by putting a hard line from the fuel pump to the carburetor, we'll eliminate that problem. This is the hard line that I'm gonna be using, and actually I got it off of eBay, and it's a formed fuel line. If you're looking at the front of the motor, this is gonna be the fuel pump, and the way this is gonna snake up, it's gonna go around the timing cover, underneath the coil and the distributor, and around by where the hose for the heater hose goes right by that, and then right to the carburetor. This is a little longer than we need it to be, so we're gonna cut that down. And I also have a fitting here that's gonna allow us to just go straight from this line into the hard piece that's gonna go with this carburetor. Let's take a look at what that piece looks like. So here's that fuel line kit from Edelbrock. It's gonna go with the Edelbrock carburetor that I have on my car. The part number here is 8131. And what it's gonna do is, on the side of the carb, there's the part where you would bring in the rubber fuel line and go into the side of the carb. We're gonna put this in its place. This is gonna run underneath the electronic choke, and then we're gonna thread this fuel filter on the end of that, and then the other end of that is this fuel line that we just were talking about a second ago. And here, this is the part number, in case anybody needs that. And the nice thing, again, this is already formed, ready to go. It's got the fitting that we need on the end to go in the fuel pump. And then this end, it actually has a barbed end on it that you can hook up a fuel line to for those that want to use that. But what we're going to do, because we're getting rid of the rubber hose, we're going to go straight to this. We need to put this filter in this spot, and then from here, we need to turn this into something that will thread into this filter. And that's where this little piece comes in. This, and I spacing on the size right now, but I think it's a -6 AN that will thread onto here. And then the way this works is what we're going to do is we're going to cut this to length once we get it put in the car, and then we'll slide this. Actually, this will go on there first, this piece, and then we'll slide this on, and then we'll connect it all together. And what's going to do is it's going to create a tight seal for us, so we don't need to put any kind of banjo fitting or whatever those kind of things are that would put the right fitting on here. We're going to make one without having to take it to a shop and do that. Let's go take a look at the car and see how this is going to fit in the car. Normally this is going to be attached on your car. I just got done replacing this water pump and timing cover, and I can't put this back in there with this hard line in place, so we're going to go ahead and disconnect that. But imagine this is going to sit in here like so, and when we kind of route it around everything, we can still bend this tube to make a perfect fit, but it's going to more or less kind of come out of there. It's going to be on the other side of this coil. It's going to route right underneath this distributor, the vacuum advance on it, and it's going to come right up along the side here. And that's where we're going to figure out if we need to do any special bending to just make it fit custom around this edge here. So let's go ahead and get this old fuel line off of the pump. I'm going to get the pump back installed in the car, and then we can start test fitting this hard line to see where it's going to come out. This nut down here it's a 1/2 inch, and if you've got one of those flare wrenches, this works best for getting those off there. Also, be careful, you're gonna have fuel leak out of this, so some way to catch it down below is the best way to do this. Now that we got the fuel pump installed, now we can go ahead and start test fitting this new hard line. And I think we can just try to thread it in there a little bit right now, just to kind of get it started, because we're not going to fully install it yet, and just see how it kind of comes around. And I can already tell that I'm going to need to bend this a little bit and bend that. And depending on where you guys have your coil and where your distributor's facing and stuff like that, it might change the overall bend of that. So you might have to work with it a little bit and just be gentle with this stuff, because you can kink this if you're trying too hard. So I've got this thing routed pretty good up along the side of the timing cover and below the distributor, but this final part here, we want to save that. Now we want to install the hard line that's coming off of the carburetor and the fuel filter in front here, so we can see where this is going to end up, and we can do our final bends with that. Now we're going to take this nipple off of the back of the carburetor, and it's just a 3/4 inch socket that will take that loose. Go ahead and unthread it all the way. And Edelbrock provided us these instructions on how to put this in, and make sure you just follow the order with the fastener and the two little washers in this hard line. Make sure it just goes in the right order so it seals properly. You may find it easier to install the fuel filter before you put this hard line on the carburetor. We're going to try that first and see if that works for us. And for now, we're just going to snug this down, but we're not going to tighten it all the way because we want to make sure that we get everything lined up first, then we'll go back and tighten everything. You may find it easier to just go ahead and remove your spark plug wires out of the way while you're working on this, just to give you better access to what you're working on here. As you can see, we have a little bit to do still here. Now this, we need to bend this a little bit more to get it over in line with this, but we also have to have room for this piece. So if we were to thread this on here, this fitting, we can get an idea of roughly where this line needs to end, and we really want it to end just inside, just on the by the tip of that. So I need to bend this hard line a little bit more, and we might just need to just cut off just the very tip of it, and it might be perfect for this setup. All right, guys, I think we have it here. Combination of bending some stuff around here and everything, and I think all we need to do is just cut off just that barbed end of it. We'll just get just the back side of that barb, and it should just fit right in there, and everything should be good. I also, just so you guys know, I just use one of these kind of bending tools. They're generic. You can change the sizes of that wheel for different sizes of tubing that you have. I got this at Napa or something like that. You guys can get them at any part store. And just be careful when you're bending this stuff that you can crease it, so just be careful with that. So let's just cut that end off and see how it fits. All right, now we got that end cut off. I think we're gonna be good. We can go ahead and assemble the rest of this, and it should fit exactly like we want. It's not rubbing or touching anything else, so I think we're in a good spot. All right, guys, that takes care of that. That is a new hard line from the fuel pump all the way to the carburetor. Don't forget to put your spark plugs back on. Normally, we would fire it up and make sure there's no leaks. However, I've got some more things I need to do first before I finish what I'm doing with this whole project. So unfortunately, I won't fire the car in this video. However, the best thing you can do is just maybe take the wire off the coil here and then turn it over, and what you're doing is your pump's gonna start pumping fuel in there, and then you can check down here at the bottom at the pump. Also check your connection here in front of the fuel filter, after the fuel filter, and also in the carburetor, and make sure you don't have any leaks there. And if you do have a leak, it's not gonna fire, it's not gonna ignite, and you're not gonna have a problem, and you can go back and check those threads and make sure that everything's nice and tight. Also, you can over tighten these threads. These things are not meant to be torqued to NASA specs, so be careful of that. But other than that, I think this is it. Again, you guys can pick up one of those tube benders at a part store pretty easily. And then this preformed pipe sure does make it easier. This tube makes it so much easier. I didn't have to do much to get it to kind of fit around a few things here towards the end. And then I just had to cut that very end off where that barb was on there, and it went right in, and everything's done. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I think you guys could do this yourself. All right, guys, that takes care of that. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.